The countdown is officially on, and Celtics fans can already feel that buzz creeping in as we inch closer to the start of the NBA season. We're talking about just a few weeks left until the Boston Celtics hit the hardwood again. And let's be real, it's been way too long. Training camp starts on the 16th, and opening night for the Celtics? October 22nd against the Philadelphia 76ers. That's going to be a banger. The energy is picking up, the speculation is everywhere, and you can already sense how loaded this Eastern Conference is shaping up to be. But how do the Celtics really stack up in all of this? Let's dive in. This episode, we're taking a full tour through the Eastern Conference, walking through the projected win totals for each team and trying to figure out who's overhyped, who's underrated, and where the Celtics slot in by comparison. And yeah, we're definitely talking about our guy Xavier Tillman too, along with a few quick thoughts on the Jonathan Kuminga drama out in Golden State. But let's kick things off with the big picture, how the East looks right now. At the top of the projections, we've got the Cleveland Cavaliers sitting at 55.5 wins. That's high. That's real high. And yes, they've got Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and a young core that's getting older and better. But they also lost Ty Jerome. Garland's health is still a question mark heading into the season, and Max Struss, who they brought in for some shooting and spacing, is dealing with an injury. So that's a lot of pressure falling on Mitchell and Mobley early. And let's not pretend this is a team with deep playoff scars. They flamed out when it matters most. So maybe, just maybe, they take their foot off the gas in the regular season and focus more on getting to the playoffs healthy. It wouldn't shock me to see them ease up at times, but the East isn't exactly a gauntlet right now, so I'm leaning slightly over on that one total. Barely. Next up are the New York Knicks, projected at 52.5 wins. Now that this team is just relentless. Say what you want about their ceiling, but the Knicks play hard. They score in bunches, and they never take nights off. With Jalen Brunson running the show, Julius Randle doing Julius Randle things, and a cast of solid contributors like OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, they've got some real firepower. The big question mark for them is the frontcourt rotation. Does Mitchell Robinson stay healthy? Does he start alongside Karl-Anthony Towns if the rumors end up real? Could Josh Hart sneak into sixth man of the year conversations? I like the Knicks to hit that over. They're built for the regular season grind, and they play with that Tom Thibodeau edge. Then we hit a bit of a surprise. The Orlando Magic, projected at 51.5 wins. Whoa, that's a lot of belief in a team that's still figuring things out. Look, I like what Orlando's building. Paolo Banchero is the real deal. Franz Wagner is a stud. They've added solid pieces like Desmond Bane and Tyus Jones. Wendell Carter Jr. holds it down at the 5. But 51.5 wins? That feels like a stretch for a group that still hasn't proven it over an 82-game season. I like the upside, but not enough to go over on that number. Give me the under, not by a lot, but enough that I wouldn't bet on them winning over 50 games in the East just yet. The Atlanta Hawks follow, projected at 46.5 wins. Now here's a team I'm pretty bullish on. They've made some under-the-radar moves that could really work. Charles Bassey comes in as a solid depth piece, and they flipped Kobe Buffkin for some cash while bringing in Nickeil Alexander-Walker and some reliable vets like Chris Boucher and Luke Kennard. This is going to be a better-spaced, more mature team. If Trae Young buys in, and that's always the big if, Atlanta could push back into that top 4 conversation. I'm taking the over. This is a team that, if they finally click, could win 48, maybe even 50 games. Now Detroit's another wild card. They're sitting at 45.5 wins. That's a big jump for a team that's been rebuilding forever. But look at what they've done. They've added Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert, and they get Jaden Ivey back healthy. Cade Cunningham finally gets a real shot at leading this team. And the young talent they've been stockpiling is starting to gel. I'm actually going over here too. This could be one of those sneaky worst-to-first type stories in the East. I'm not saying they're winning the conference, but third place? Maybe. It's not out of the question. Now here's where it gets interesting. Milwaukee is projected at 44.5 wins. That's lower than we've seen in years. And yeah, Giannis Antetokounmpo is still there, but the vibes in Milwaukee? Not great. Giannis is coming off a frustrating summer. The supporting cast around him is shaky, and there's already some early season trade chatter. Kevin Porter Jr., Kyle Kuzma, Gary Trent Jr., and Miles Turner are names floating around, but it feels like Milwaukee doesn't know what direction it wants to go. Are they still trying to win now? Or is this the beginning of a slow reset? I'm going under. I don't trust the chemistry, and I don't see a clear path to a top 4 seed for this group. And then we finally arrive at the Boston Celtics, projected at 43.5 wins. Now let me just say, that number is wild. Either Vegas knows something we don't, or the Celtics are being criminally underrated. Because look, I get the concerns. Injuries, depth, and the unknowns about how this new roster gels. But if Peyton Pritchard takes a leap, if Anthony Simons is locked and looking for a big payday, if Jaylen Brown starts playing like an MVP candidate, and yeah, I said it, this team could easily blow past that win total. SCHRÖDER could be the most improved player for all we know. And I know, it's easy to overreact in September, but I'm taking the over. No question. This Celtics team, with the right mix of health and rhythm, is not a 43-win team. That's ridiculous. So let's count. We've gone through Cleveland, New York, Orlando, Atlanta, Detroit, and now Boston. That's 6 teams. I'm putting the Celtics right in the middle of that mix. Let's pencil them in for the 6th seed. Not on the play-in, not scraping by, solidly in the top 6. Could they push higher? Sure. Could they fall a bit lower? Maybe, but top 6 feels right. Then come the Sixers, tied with the Celtics at 43.5. And look, I want to believe in Philly. I really do. But how many times are we going to run this same movie? Joel Embiid looking ripped in off-season photos. The hope that this is the year he stays healthy. The whispers of a new system or supporting cast. And then come April, it all falls apart. It's exhausting. If you're a Philly fan, I feel for you. I'll say this, though. If we're comparing trajectories, I trust Boston's arc more than Philly's. That being said, I'll still go over on Philly just because there's too much talent for them to completely fall off. But would I be surprised if they flamed out early again? Not at all. From there, the gap gets real. The Indiana Pacers are next at 39.5. And this is where the East starts to lose some steam. The Pacers are solid, but they're missing that engine. Without Halliburton, nothing moves. Siakam is nice. Nesmith is a fun piece. But the whole thing is just kind of average. I'm going under. I think this is the year the Pacers finally stop pretending to be a fringe playoff team and let themselves slide into the lottery. Not because they're bad, but because the top of the East is just a step ahead. And don't even get me started on Miami. 37.5 wins? I don't even know what to make of that team. Tyler Herro, Bam Adebayo, Norman Powell, and then a bunch of rookies. I'm out. The vibes are terrible. Jimmy Butler's window might be closing. I don't buy it this year. Give me the under. Toronto? Projected at 35.5 wins? Honestly, they might surprise some people. Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, Jacob Poeltl. That's not a bad starting 5. They've got size, defense, and just enough offense to hang around. I think they'll try harder than most teams, especially early on. I'm leaning over here. Now that we've walked through the East and penciled in the Celtics as a top 6 team, let's pivot a bit and talk about a few players flying under the radar. One name that needs more attention heading into this season is Xavier Tillman. I know people have been hyping up guys like SCHRÖDER and even throwing Luka Garza's name around, but let's not forget about the X-Man. There's a real chance he becomes a key part of the Celtics rotation this season, especially if injuries hit the front court or some of these breakout hopes don't pan out. Look, last year was a weird one for Tillman. Between nagging injuries and inconsistent minutes, he never really got into a rhythm. In fact, he only played 33 games with the Celtics and averaged just 1 point in about 7 minutes per game. That's basically a non-factor. But if you rewind to his Memphis days, there were flashes of a guy who could bring toughness off the bench, play smart team defense, and give you just enough offensively to not be a liability. In the 2022 to 2023 season, he was playing around 19 minutes per game and giving you 7 points and 5 boards. Nothing flashy, sure, but solid rotation guy numbers. That's the kind of presence every contending team needs. Someone who stays ready, knows his role, and doesn't try to do too much. People forget that when he was healthy and getting real run, especially when Jaren Jackson Jr. or Brandon Clark were out in Memphis. Tillman was dependable. He filled gaps. He rebounded. He played with grit. And now that he's been with Boston for a little while, it wouldn't be shocking if he starts carving out a real role again, especially because the Celtics don't exactly have a clear answer for that backup 5 spot. We've talked about Quetta. We've talked about Luka Garza, but none of them have locked it down yet. There's room here for someone to step in and earn those minutes, and Tillman could absolutely be that guy. What makes it even more interesting is the type of team Boston is shaping up to be this year. Joe Mazzulla's system the last couple of years has relied heavily on bigs who can stretch the floor, space the offense, and shoot the three. Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis were tailor-made for that. But this year, that dynamic is shifting. Al is gone. KP's health is always a question. And you start looking around at the other bigs, and it's not like any of them are known for their shooting. If you're the opposing team and Nemias Quetta or Garza are spotting up from 3, you're probably not sweating it. You'll live with it. Same goes for Tillman. He's not a shooter. But the difference is that he brings some things the others don't. He plays bigger than his height. He switches better on defense. He's not going to space the floor, but he might keep the offense flowing through effort plays, offensive rebounds, and setting smart screens. That matters, especially in the second unit. So while the narrative right now seems to be pushing hard for Quetta to grab that backup big spot, don't be surprised if the veteran presence of Tillman sneaks into that role by the time we hit December or January. Maybe it was always supposed to be the X-Man. And listen, the Celtics are going to need someone to step up. This season, more than ever, the depth is going to matter. The bench is full of guys who have potential but haven't really proven anything at a consistent NBA level. There's no Grant Williams anymore. No Al Horford to cover up weaknesses with his leadership and consistency. This is the year guys like Tillman need to step in and hold things down when the stars rest. Now, speaking of uncertainty, let's talk about the mess in Golden State. Because the way things are unfolding with Jonathan Kuminga is just baffling. You've got a young player with legit talent who's shown flashes of being a scoring machine, yet somehow Golden State is fumbling the bag with him. His camp clearly wants more opportunity, and the Warriors don't seem ready to commit to giving him that. He doesn't fit with the Curry-Draymond dynamic, and that's not really his fault. They want guys who plug into the system, cut without the ball, defend like hell, and shoot with confidence. Kuminga wants the ball in his hands and room to operate. That's not a crime. That's just not the Warriors' way. But if you've got this talented asset who's not going to sign a cheap qualifying offer and is clearly unhappy, what are you doing just holding on to him? We've already heard about potential trades that were on the table. Sacramento reportedly offered Malik Monk and a pick. The Bulls were supposedly willing to deal Alex Caruso. And the Warriors said no? What are we doing here? This is not the same front office that pulled off the KD move or drafted Draymond in the second round. It's like they're paralyzed now, desperate to hold on to young talent, but too afraid to make a decisive move. And it's got ripple effects, too. Al Horford is still a free agent. And while he's likely not returning to Boston, he would have been a perfect veteran piece for a win-now team like Golden State. But they can't commit to anything until the Kuminga situation gets resolved. It's a logjam. Meanwhile, this is the kind of chaos that makes you appreciate what Boston has. Say what you want about the Brad Stevens era, but the front office knows what it's doing. They're not clinging to assets out of fear. They're not making desperation trades. When they move someone, it's intentional. When they sign someone, it's strategic. And as a fan, that's what you want, a front office that isn't just reacting to chaos, but actually building something stable. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The Boston Celtics might be about to light up the NBA rumor mill with what could be one of the most electrifying mid-season moves in recent memory. Sources close to the situation suggest that Dennis Schroeder, the lightning-quick guard who stole the spotlight as a closer in the EUROBASKET, is in advanced talks with Boston and could soon be suiting up for the storied green and white. While nothing has been officially confirmed, insiders hint that the Celtics are eyeing Schroeder as a catalyst to accelerate their already high-octane offense. Schroeder's name has been circulating among top European and NBA scouts for months, largely due to his uncanny ability to take over games in crunch time. At EUROBASKET, he became the go-to closer for Germany, dazzling audiences with his fearless drives, pinpoint passing, and clutch three-pointers that could swing momentum in the blink of an eye. Observers now wonder if Boston, always eager to inject speed and creativity into its backcourt, can harness that same energy in the NBA. Adding Schroeder would instantly change the Celtics' rhythm, offering head coach Joe Mazzulla a versatile weapon capable of pushing the pace or settling in as a deadly perimeter threat. Rumors hint that the front office sees him not just as a temporary spark, but as a player who could redefine their second unit, providing instant offense and leadership in high-pressure situations. Fans are already buzzing on social media, imagining a lineup where Schroeder's relentless energy meets the precision of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Critics might question how Schroeder's EuroBasket brilliance will translate to the NBA, but Boston insiders remain confident that his experience on international stages has sharpened his clutch instincts. If the deal goes through, it could signal a bold, aggressive move by the Celtics to dominate both ends of the floor and inject a turbocharged rhythm into their game. While the ink isn't dry yet, whispers of Schroeder to Boston are enough to keep the rumor mill spinning and Celtics fans awake at night, imagining the possibilities. One thing is certain. If this deal happens, the Garden might just witness a new era of fast-breaking excitement. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.